Assalamu alaikum. One of the most intriguing aspects about the Quran that it talks about life-changing program. And what I have learned so far from my reading, for reader to understand, is that your consciousness, to have the quality of the awareness, what's going on in your head, in your surrounding, in your own body. Think if you are a mechanic of your own body, you know so much going on in your own tissues, in your bones, in your head, in your all component that put it together, that become the body of you, where you park your soul. Right? Think if you are the best expert that you can talk to about yourself, it's you. And you have the direct relationship. You have, every time you call yourself, you're there. So I think nothing more exciting than having the expert about you physically, spiritually, mentally, right? And whatever dimensions human can possess. It's you. And I think the more I think about this, that's very exciting. I'm not saying that you should not go to a doctor, you should not go to other experts to ask questions, to learn things. But at the end of the day, you gather information, you make decision, which course of action that you are going to take for yourself. Yes, sometimes at some point you have to trust the experts who know more than you. Even that, you have to decide whether their knowledge is more than you do. And then you let them advise you. But if you have the awareness in such a way about yourself, almost you are like I said, the expert. You can scan your own mind. You can scan your own physical body. You can detect the symptom that you have if you're on physical ahead of time, before even the machine can detect. Think how useful that consciousness is. I think it's very profound. And that is what I'm going to talk about. And that is what I'm going to present, that the Quran talks about life-changing program by having the knowing, by having the awareness of yourself. Okay? And this life-changing program is the work inside out. If you have a definite purpose, if you treat your mind like a garden and you cultivate it intelligently, and you will have a quality mind, a beautiful mind, right? And nobody else can do it better than you do, because you have the direct control what your mind is thinking. So I'm going to present to you a few verses that corresponds to this topic, and I have translated them in such a way to have a better understanding the understanding that is useful, meaningful, and very productive and very profound. And here's verse number 1. Verse 163, chapter Al-Baqarah. And this is a portion of the verse. And it reads, La ilaha illa huwa. My translation, there is no God but the awakened mind. It talks about your consciousness. If you have the awakened mind, and that's all there is. However range, whatever range of your conscious that you have, and that's all there is. And that, I think, is very profound. It talks about your elements of your existence, and that is consciousness. And then the next verse, verse 156, chapter Al-Baqarah. And it reads a portion of the verse. This is, I quote, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. My translation, man comes into the existence to acknowledge that he who shapes the quality of his way of being. By having the consciousness, you are the one who comes to acknowledge that you exist. Having the awareness, the existence of yourself. So this verse, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, that the portion of the verse of verse 156, chapter Al-Baqarah, man comes into the existence to acknowledge that he who shaped the quality of his way of being. He's the one who make it whatever the life that he wants, for good or bad. He is the maker of himself, for good or bad. By having the awareness, the consciousness that he acknowledges that he exists, and then having the awareness that the quality of his life or her life, or whatever gender you have, and nobody else that can shape and govern your life but yourself. You are the maker of yourself. And that's why this is the work inside out. As you can hear, as you see thus far, it starts from within. And then there are verse 2 and verse 3 in chapter 87 also correspond to this topic. And the nuance of these two verses, just to give you an overview very quickly, that life determined by your own imagination. Okay? Life determined by your own imagination, the conception of yourself, what you think of yourself. So the next two verses that I'm going to present to you, verse 2 and verse 3 in chapter 87, seal this idea. Okay? So, and it reads, verse 2, Alladhi khalaqa fasawwa. My translation, after they conceived the vision, they mold it. they have at the end, or they begin with the end in mind of their vision. And then they molded that vision. So that's verse 2, right? And then verse 3, وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. My translation, those who create their own realities. As you can see, these two verses speak so vividly how important the consciousness is. And then it talks about your vision and the conception of yourself. Thus far, these three elements tie together. You have the consciousness and you acknowledge that the existence of yourself. And then have the understanding, the awareness of yourself. You are the one who create your own realities, for good or bad. You are the maker of yourself. So verse 2, chapter 87, Alladhi khalaqa fasawwa, after they conceive the vision, they create the imagination with the end in mind. And then they come after it. They mold it. They gather their resources to make this blueprint that they have initiated. And they make it so, and they execute it methodically. And those who create their own realities, verse 3, وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. Those who create their own realities, they have come to realization, or they have executed self-actualization, if you will. This is what Maslow was talking about. Abraham Maslow, I mean. Right? This is speak really clearly and loudly about the concept of self-actualization that Abraham Maslow, presented, a long time ago, and the Quran resonates with that understanding. Or Abraham Maslow, another word of saying that speaks to these verses, right? This is probably the highest form of human's actualization, because you are the maker of yourself. You create it by your own action, and to the most ideal version of yourself. And these verses highlights the importance to have decision, to have the awareness. Meaning, when I think to me, when the Quran talks about consciousness, it talks about the awareness, knowing the facts. When you have facts, you make better decision. And that's why having the vision, what you want in life, and prepare yourself to be able to execute such a vision. And then you will create your own realities. So this is not easy task. It's not easy task. It is tough. But is this doable? It is practical. And it takes hard work, obviously. It's going to be mistakes to be made in life. But if you are having the awareness in such a way, and you learn the mistakes and you pick yourself up, and then you keep going, and you are faithful to your vision, and you hold it in your head secretly. This is the most sacred things you can have to yourself. You don't have to tell this to anybody. You can keep it for yourself, your vision, your dream. Yes, sometimes you need your mentor. But even at the end of the day, you make the decision. Your mentor only give you some insights based on what they know, the information that you give them, what you're trying to accomplish, and what kind of resources that are available out there. Your mentor, the purpose of your mentor is to guide you based on what you tell them and how you can mold your dream. Even that, you have to have your own awareness that what your mentor is giving you is workable for you and executable. So I want to expand a little bit verse 3, chapter 87. وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. Those who create their own realities. It's very important to understand that if you grew up in Muslim households, probably you already told that God have determined your life, right? The problem with that concept that it doesn't work in the natural world. So the verses that I just shared with you, that I presented to you, are so grounded in realities. You can test it, you can experience, you can experiment it, you can see how it works, and you can retrack the progress that you made. And you can trace all the way how, however length. So it's very important to cultivate this concept methodically. And that's why the translation that I just presented to you, that I have retranslated, so that the meaning of this verse become alive, become useful. These verses become a living message as opposed to dead message that's become not productive and not useful. So yes, the translation is different than what you used to hear, or what you used, what you are told. Very quickly, I don't see the verses of the Qur'an it was written in Arabic. Yes, can be understood partially in Arabic, in current or contemporary Arabic. But if you're trying to understand the concept that I just presented to you, you have to take the verses of the Quran into the natural world and retranslate it as I did. Okay, so verse 3, God do not determine your life. You, the one who determine what kind of life that you want, and create the vision and mold that vision and hold that vision faithfully to yourself. This is quite sacred. You don't have to brag to anybody and keep it. The only person that I can think of that you can share is to your mentor, because your mentor might need to know what you're thinking so he can provide you to support you. That's what your mentor is. He or she is there for you, right? Now, so that's number 3. You are the one, you are the engineer, the architect of your life. You are the maker of yourself. So God does not determine life for you. You have to decide what you want. Yes, there is a natural law in nature that you need to understand. This is a very important concept. That nature is not capricious. It tells you like it is how it works. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. This is tomatoes. If you cut it and you take seed of this, what you will see is tomato seeds inside. You take, you prepare the seeds and you put into the ground. What come out of the seed is tomato plants and will produce tomato fruits, like so. Okay? So tomato plants will never produce coconut fruits. I never seen one. Okay? Tomato plants will never produce corn. Why? Because that's not what it does. Tomato seeds will produce tomato fruits. That law is in nature. That natural law is everywhere. Okay, it's available to everybody, regardless of your religious persuasions. So the law in nature is predictable. You can test it. You can experiment it, how it works. So that's what I mean, is that something that you have to understand, that there is a law in nature that already in place, and then it's up to you how to work with it. So next illustration. This is orange, right? No matter how hard you squeeze this orange, what comes out of this orange is orange juice. This orange cannot produce coconut milk. So have the awareness, have the understanding that this orange juice also doesn't produce tomato juice. Why? Because this orange juice doesn't do that. That's not what orange does. What this orange do, what it has inside, what it produces is what it has inside, which is orange juice. So let me expand a little bit further why I'm presenting this idea. Think of your life if somebody squeezed you. Either on the highway, somebody cut you off, or somebody squeeze you in your office or at home, so when somebody squeezes you, what comes out of you is what inside of you. It doesn't matter what time of day, it doesn't matter where you are being squeezed. It doesn't matter whether at the end of the year or on the holiday, on the beach or at home or inland or on vacation. It won't make any difference. What comes out of you is what inside. No matter who squeezes you, right? No matter what time they squeeze you, what comes out of you is what inside. The same thing with this orange. It works the same way. No matter where you take this orange, you can take to Africa, to Australia, to Canada, to Indonesia. It won't make any difference. You can use whatever tool you use, trying to squeeze. What comes out of this orange is orange juice. Right? What comes out of this is what inside. This orange juice, this orange doesn't produce coconut milk. No matter what tool you use, what book you read trying to manipulate, it doesn't have that, because that's not what inside of this orange. So that is 2 illustrations about life as I present it to you. This is a good illustration. It's simple, it's profound to understand, so that when you read verses of the Qur'an, it's better to take it into the natural world, how it works. That's why I have translated those verses that ground it in reality, so that we can understand, to make the verses useful, and the verses become alive as you take it into the present tense, into the natural world, because that's where you are. Okay, so that's as far as the illustration, why the meaning that I presented to you the way they are. Because the only way to test the message of the Quran is reflect the natural world. Make us understand better ourselves, make us understand better what's going on in surrounding and nature. Think of nature is like your kaleidoscope that present a range of colors and mirroring the vibrancy of what's going on inside you. What you're seeing outside reflects what's going on inside, right? So that's why it's so important, in order to change, to have a better understanding of ourselves, have the mind that's so grounded in the realities. And in order to have a better grasp the message of the Quran, that's so useful, that's so relevant, and connected to the environment, because that's where we live in, because that's where we can test the message, your understanding. So in closing, last verse talks about the inner image, the conception of ourselves. In order to change our life, we have to change our self-image. So verse 11, chapter 13, speaks just that. And this is the portion of the verse, and I'm going to read this to you. Inna Allah la yughayru ma biqawmin hatta yughayru ma bi anfusihim. So my translations: humans do not change the conditions of their lives until they change the image of themselves. So here the verse illustrates, in order to change the conditions of your life, you have to start from within. You have to change the conception of yourself, your self-image. Get the right image. When that's settled, when that's taken care of, the life that you want, and having the right perception of yourself and the state of your mind, that set the foundation how you make changes in life going forward. Nothing I can think of so profound in life than having the understanding of ourselves, having the understanding how we go about making changes, making progress, and being enlightened, right? Having the awareness of what's going on in ourselves, in physical body, and in your head, and in your mind, and how to organize them. And to be more productive, more creative, and more awakened life, if you will. And those verses that I just presented here resonate and and speaks to that effect, to that purpose. And I hope this topic resonates with you. If you cultivate the plan methodically, passionately, and you hold your imagination faithfully to yourself, and you work hard to it, and you put out there the best you can do, because nature is not capricious. The result that you have accumulated in life matches in exact ratio the effort that you have put out. No more, no less. That's how nature works. If there is something that you need to fix, having the awareness, aware of the error of judgment that you have done or that you have made for yourself, and it's easier to fix. So having the mindfulness about your life and much easier to examine and to recalibrate so that it will align to your according to your vision, to your self-image, the concept that you have about yourself. So the verse 11, chapter 13, that I just read to you, humans do not change the conditions of their lives until they change the image of themselves. So this verse summarizes, put it together in a way that this is a life-changing program. And it starts from within, having the presence of mind, and not to live in the past, and then not to have going so far ahead and being delusional is so important. So having a presence of mind to work with your surrounding, where you at, and knowing yourself, which is right within the center. All of these are at the center of yourself. Either your physical, accepting the existence of yourself, and then also your mind. You can think about so much going on in the world. You can expand it however horizon that you want to expand. But the center is right within yourself. And then having to be able to organize those thoughts, what the mind is thinking, right? You think of your mind, what your mind is thinking, to be able to organize them, is also at the center of yourself. So all of these components are the work from inside out. And that's why for young people in particular, to understand this, to work hard with yourself in order to make better choices for yourself, to create a better result, to create a self-actualization, the best and the most ideal life that you want. Having this understanding, I think, will put you into the right path, into the path that you can inspire your own spirit. And surely people can learn from you, and you can share, especially for you if you have children. This is very useful concept for them to understand, and they will have a good anchor, good foundation in life. The life-changing program among them contains consciousness, vision, and the concept of yourself. And those three ideas, to understand how they work, and how they are correlate to each other, and how they are so important in order to create a blueprint of your life. And then having that blueprint, your vision, and clear, definite purpose in life, and execute that purpose, that plan, methodically. And if you cultivate the plan intelligently, as you have, as in the blueprint, and you will have a success that very close or likeliness to what you already envision. Because like I said earlier, that nature is not capricious. So if whatever the result that you have created in life, that is because very in exact ratio what the work you have put out there. No more, no less. So that's why having this plan, this methodical approach to life, very, very important. Having the consciousness, having the awareness in such a way, you will have what it is you're collecting data. You work your life based on facts, not blind belief, right? And you have a better management of your own thought. You have better management of your own emotion. Yes, we have emotions. Sometimes can be irrational. But because you have a presence of mind, you know where you are about yourself, your head, your own thought, and your conditions, and your surrounding. That's help you understand what's course of action that you need to take. And surely life produces result. For good or bad, whatever decision that you take will produce a result. If you don't like the result, just trace it and fix that result. And this is why it's so important to learn about life, to be able to examine life, right? If you can examine your life, your history, what went wrong, why is it that happened to you, and what caused it, have self-introspection, self-analysis, and that gives you information how you can fix it. And I can't think in life that's so profound, especially for young people. If you want to move ahead in life, and that is, it talks about your consciousness and your dream, and how you can mold your dream and come after it and work hard for it and execute it and cultivate it intelligently, and have faith in your own vision, in your own dream, and have grit, and have passion and perseverance. So yes, sometimes it can discourage you in life, but that, if you put in proper perspective, it becomes your experience. It teaches you. It reveals you where you at in life, or where you are in your consciousness. So consciousness teach you about facts, or guide you how to cultivate or how to gather facts. If you have the knowing what's going on in your thinking and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish in life, And that gives you a lot of good information how to make a better decision. So I'm going to close this presentation with a quote from Henry David Thoreau, which I think quite apropos if you cultivate this plan intelligently. And he says, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors the life which he has imagined, he will experience a success unimagined in common hours. I think it's beautiful. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will experience a success unimagined in common hours. So folks, it has been a pleasure to talk about what Qur'an presenting in terms of life-changing program. I really enjoy reading the Qur'an in the new dimension, if you will. And you just heard my translations, nothing like probably that you have heard before, and that is okay. So if what I have presented to you resonate you, so please give a comment, let's have a conversation, and that's all for now.